afternoon. I'd like to call the meeting to order. This is Rules and Open Government Committee meeting for November 13th. Unless there are any changes to our agenda order, we'll start at the beginning, which is the November 19th agenda. Anything on page 1, noting a 9 o'clock start time? Page 2 or 3? Page 4 or 5? Page 6 or 7?
Mayor, item 3.3, could we ask for a deferral to the December 3rd meeting?
Sure. Okay, one last thing on the agenda. We already have quite a few things to work with on the 19th. Item 4.1, the ordinance implementing the 2013 fire code standards. Is there a staff report on that? This is the first reading of an ordinance, and we got to make findings, if I remember what was said.
Right. The building code is coming back on a second reading. This is, again, coming back on a first reading for the fire code. With the findings, we'll need a sunshine waiver, and the legal document should be posted by tomorrow. The memo, I don't know if the department's working on it, or we'll have to let you know, but we'll need a sunshine waiver for that as well.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
If that item, because it needs a sunshine waiver, can it just wait till the next meeting?
December 3rd.
Well, the idea is to get this in place as close to January 1, 2014 as possible.
And what's the issue if it gets adopted mid-January?
Well, it's supposed to be effective January 1. So
first reading, second reading, 30 days.
We're just like January 3rd if we do the first and second reading. So
if someone pulls up, let's say the council doesn't get it done till third week of January, and someone pulls a building permit the first week of January, then they're under the old rules?
Yes.
That would seem fine, considering I was on the opposite side.
Yeah, but there's supposed to be an effect on the first of the month, and we're as close as 1st of January, and we're as close to it with the 3rd. So the recommendation is to keep it.
Given the debate and the interest on this, I'm hesitant to put it on without having the staff report and the legal documents and the findings available for people to see ahead of the meeting.
Okay. Well, if we need to do it as an urgency on the 3rd, we will make the effort to, because it has to be effective on the 1st. But let's do what we can to. We'll get it on the 3rd. We don't have the documents. We're asking for a sunshine waiver. But if the committee would rather go on the 3rd, we'll do the best we can to comply with the law.
Vice Mayor.
Rick, when do you think the documentations or all the information will be available?
Well, the legal documents should be posted tomorrow. They're out for comment. I don't know about the staff memo, though.
Well, quite frankly, to my knowledge, there is no staff memo other than the findings that are being included as part of the ordinance.
Okay, so it's the same memo with the memo that came from council members asking for the variation. So
then why do we have to wait? I mean, if the information is going to be available tomorrow, and this is not going to be heard until Tuesday, we have plenty of time. This is just a basic sunshine waiver, just like we do with other issues.
Right. And at the same time, I believe the issue is the wording of the findings, and we haven't seen the language of that either at this point.
Yeah. Well, as I understand it, gearing up for some kind of a dispute over this at some point, findings can be important, and in the factual background, the basis for the findings is important. So the question is, how does that get into the record? Because if we have to defend it, it's all based on what's in the record, I think.
Yeah, and I think what we'll do is we'll have it in the draft ordinance, and then we're going to have to work with staff to get something out that sets forth. I mean, the Vice Mayor is correct. All the facts are there, other than the new ordinance that we've been asked to come back with. So we're going to have to do some kind of supplemental to sort of put it all together.
Well, I would suggest that we just leave it on the agenda, and if staff feels that we need to defer for 1 week when the information's become available, then you can make that call. But at this point, I think it's fine just to leave it on the agenda the way it is.
It might be a possibility, and depends on the structure of the ordinance, that Part A could go forward. Unfortunately, I don't know what else is in the 2013 fire code that might be the base information that's particularly key to Councilmember Oliverio's point, to ensure that the current fire code applies to any applications that are submitted. We would, I think, look at whether A and B might be separated at the time that the item comes forward, if there is any issue with sunshine or the findings themselves.
The ordinance is the variation from the standard building code or the standard fire code. So, you know, I just think it really is a package, but I don't have any more information at this point.
I just know that when we spoke at the meeting, it was there are findings. You have to provide findings to implement this thing on seismological areas, and I'm very curious about seeing, and I know the folks that will be affected will be curious to seeing how we came to these findings based on seismological reasons when all these other cities in California don't have it. So it's just, you know, and maybe it's a difference of opinion and difference of the vote, but at the same time, whether it's heard on the 19th or December 3rd, it sounds like it can still meet the timeline. I'd be more inclined to have it go December 3rd and then have the council vote then, but I guess we'll take that in a motion at some point.
Well, I mean, like I said, the amended agenda is going to come out on Friday. So after tomorrow, then staff will tell us whether or not it's going to be on included in the amended agenda or not. And I'm fine with that. It's just that, you know, if the information is available and it's there, then, you know, we can take a vote on
Yeah,
Tuesday.
I mean, the council has to make the findings. So if the council's not comfortable given the time, then the council can kick it. But again, the committee, you know, we're asking you for the sunshine waiver, and that's your call.
And we have an opportunity on Tuesday to defer for 1 week. Is that right?
Well,
2 weeks.
It would be a two-week deferral.
2 weeks, yeah.
Well, it's not just the council, it's letting people know what the findings are, and so they can participate in the big argument. I mean, it's the whole point of the sunshine. But we've already had a debate on this, as people noticed, and I'm not sure there are a lot of issues, but the findings are a crucial part of it, and getting the factual basis for the findings. So if we don't have the materials out soon, then we ought not to proceed on Tuesday.
How about if we don't get it out by tomorrow, we put a deferral on the amended agenda?
Okay, that'd be all right.
Yep.
Motion to that effect?
Yep.
All right, we'll include that in the motion when we come back and take up the rest of the agenda. Anything else on page 6 or 7? Page 8 or 9. I wanted to, at some point here, talk about the sequence and how we let people know what the sequence is. We talked about that at the last council meeting, or not, last committee meeting. And then when I was looking through here, I'm not sure I got it right. So I just want to come back to that, but let's get all the way through the agenda first. Anything particularly on 8 or 9, 10 or 11, 12 or 13, or 14, which is the last page I have.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
It looks like if you followed the 11s in order, you would sort of satisfy what you were looking for at the last meeting.
Yeah, what I remember was 11.3, the rocket ship would go first, which would be the first item, I guess, on the 11s. They're all related. Is that right?
11, 2, and 3.
Yeah, so 11, 2, and 3 are related, so that would be first on the 11s. And then the wastewater master plan was going to be second or third, and I forgot which. If we did an order, it would be second. And then that would put Thornton, which specifically I remember was supposed to go last. So you take items 11 first ahead of items 10, because that's the problem of trying to track this thing, because we've got so many things that are being heard jointly. So if we did that, when would we take the 5 wounds urban plans?
Well, if you follow the 10s, the first 10, 10.2 is rocket ship. 10.3 is wastewater, which was supposed to be second.
Okay,
10.4 is 5 wounds, which needed to come before Thornton. 10.5 is Thornton. And then 10.6 is the main action.
I think it's in that order.
And then whatever's left.
Yeah, and then whatever's
Okay, that
left
is the way we.
So we'll do it in the tens.
We
We'll do
start
the-
with the
Yes.
tens, go in that order, and pull in everything else as we go
Yes.
through it. Okay. It's going to be a long meeting. And I think I have let everybody know, at least that we know that are participating in it. I do intend to limit public testimony to a minute on that day generally, because we have a lot of people who are probably going to want to participate. I have a couple of requests for additions. Councilmember Chu's travel to Newport Beach, which would require a sunshine waiver for travel that's already happened. Seems to me that could wait till December 3rd. We don't have to do a sunshine waiver since travel has already happened anyway. City manager's compensation package, I put out a memo a week or so ago. That needs to get added to this agenda. We have a proclamation in support of Shop San Jose campaign, and terms of an agreement with ABMEI on the contract. Any other requests for ads? Those are the written ones that I have.
I believe A1 as well.
I'm sorry, what?
I'm looking at the council, the Rules Committee
On the
agenda.
agenda, the motion for reconsideration.
Motion for reconsideration. This is a notice of intention to do that, so we don't really consider it here. We just got to figure out where it goes on the agenda. Seems to me it should go at the end of the afternoon agenda, so that's after the retirement board's discussion.
Yeah, it was on the fives last time, and that would be the end of the agenda.
Yeah, so it just fits in there. I don't know how long the retirement board discussion will take, but we had anticipated when we first scheduled it, it would be probably a minimum of an hour, and could be 2 hours, depends how much council conversation there is. But there's not a whole lot on the afternoon agenda, so we should have plenty of time to deal with it. So, anything else in the way of changes? We get a motion.
Motion to approve the agenda with the additions and the discussion noted per item that the city attorney mentioned.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion to approve. I want to make sure that the clerk and the city attorney understand it the way we understand it. Have to repeat it. You got it? Tony's got it? Okay, I have one request to speak on this item. Mr. Wall.
Sir, excuse me, your agenda could be expedited by deferring 10.4. The Urban Village commentary of yesterday should indicate that you should just defer this until you lock up your funding for it, and taking on 4 projects at once. Not one of the speakers was in favor of that. They said 1 or 2 projects. Item 10.3 and 10.4, reference to water pollution control, should also be deferred to next year. What should be expedited is the installation of the emergency diesel generators as soon as possible, and with competitive installation of funding. Item 2.8, Habitat for Humanity seems to be owning this town. They get basically a $250,000 gifting of public monies for the Environmental Innovation Center with reference to 40 months of free rent. Now they want other protections for their properties, and I think this is going above and board what they serve the city. Item 2.2 continues to slap every military personnel that's in city service in the face, having to make our folks in the military pay for their retirement benefits and all when they're on military duty that's out of their control. They're commanded by, to go wherever they're commanded to go. As a grateful city, the city should pick up this. And by slapping them in the face like this, I don't see how, sir, you could even look yourself in the face with your contribution to the nation. Thank you.
That concludes public testimony on the agenda. We have a motion to approve with the changes, the additions, sunshine waiver discussion that we had on that motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None opposed. That's approved. We have nothing to discuss for November 26th agenda, Thanksgiving week. We have any upcoming study sessions to think about, either in the meeting schedule. We don't have any agendas. We have the schedule we'll get to in a minute, but we don't have anything currently scheduled in the
We
way
do
of
not.
study sessions, right? are there any dates that we should look at that we're holding for study sessions that we want to release?
December 9th is the last date that we have held, then there is nothing pending.
Do we want to hold that till next week? We can release it next week if we don't have anything that needs to go in there. All right, legislative update. We have nothing from staff to report on at this time. Meeting schedules, we do have the meeting schedule and study session scheduled for January to June to consider. Mr. Wall, you want to speak on that one?
One of the topics that needs to be discussed at one of these sessions, it's very important, is the semi-annual recommendation follow-up report on all outstanding audit recommendations for the 6 months ended June 30th, 2013. There does not seem to be a mechanism that holds the organization accountable as to implementing the recommendations of the auditor in a timely and thorough manner. Therefore, the auditor has to come back to you every 6 months and say, hey, these are the departments that have just decided to drag their heels or blow my recommendations off and not take care of business. Taxpayers are paying a lot of money to support the very needed efforts of the auditor, and those functions should be dealt with very efficiently in a timely, thorough manner. It is up to the decision makers to make these decisions to compel the appointing authority to get those directors in line or to have them face the appropriate penalty, be it forfeiture of position and their jobs or what have you. Thank you.
That includes public testimony. Is there a motion on the
Motion.
schedule?
Motion to approve.
Second.
A motion to approve the schedules for meetings. On the motion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None opposed. That's approved. Public record, anything the committee would like to pull for discussion?
Motion to no file.
Second.
No motion to note and file. Mr. Wall, you want to speak?
Item G is referenced to two memos by two honorable and learned servants of the public, our Vice Mayor and Councilmember Liccardo, with coming up with the idea that police recruits should pay for their training. Now, I don't poo-poo the idea of trying to be creative about this, but I believe the San Jose Police Academy will shutter. I mean, it'll be effectively a death knell to the San Jose Police Academy because police recruits, by the time that they've got to the point of being selected for the academy, are already marketable to other police agencies. The academy alone isn't the real cost. The real cost is the background checks, the medical checks, the psychological testing, and physical endurance testing, and all the other things that go with it up to the point of the academy. Now, what I believe should happen is that you should really sit down as decision makers with the San Jose Police Officers Association and capitulate to their needs. They just want reasonable requests so they could raise their families up in San Jose or the Bay Area, have a nice retirement just like anybody else, and this whole process could end overnight if you just capitulate to what the San Jose police officers want, and then we'll have more police, and you don't have to worry about other agencies siphoning off our police recruits at various levels of their training, and of course stopping the exodus of our seasoned troops to other agencies because they pay better and they give better benefits and they don't unilaterally break or breach employment contracts. So I really wish you would think about this a lot harder than you thought about it before. Thanks.
That concludes public testimony. We have a motion to file a public record on the motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None opposed. That's approved. Next item is G2. A memorandum from Councilmember Liccardo regarding Levitt Pavilion, St. James Park. Councilmember Liccardo is here. See if he wants to talk about his memo. We'll have a few people who want to speak. We'll come back to that. Councilmember Liccardo.
Thank you, Mayor. I don't have much to add other than to ensure that the committee has received the revised memorandum that was submitted last night.
I
Hopefully.
have it.
Great. Thank you.
Got some people who want to speak. Let's take that now. Mr. Wall.
I applaud Member Liccardo for this development of this scenario. However, there are some problems I think that should be addressed. One, the actual problem with St. James Park, also known as Criminal and Vagrant Park, is just that. There's no formidable plan to rid this park of the criminal element, the mentally ill, the social miscreants that use that park as a base camp of operations to cause all sorts of havoc to surrounding neighborhoods and to the downtown itself. This project would, I think, also be deleterious to the people that live around the park, the residents, because of these events, or basically could be considered a public nuisance to them, disturbing the peace and quiet, or what little slice of peace and quiet they get in the neighborhoods around St. James Park. Also, I am very much concerned as to the sources of future fees or assessments to fund the construction, operations, and maintenance of this pavilion. Now, these are always shrouded in mystery at the time, but when we hear discussions of yesterday concerning urban villages where mellow ruse taxes were discussed as a possibility, I shake the head of wonderment that mellow ruse couldn't creep up here, or other type of assessments placed on properties to fund this, which I would not support. I do support Councilmember Liccardo's sole effort, it appears, to try to clean up St. James Park, and I wish in the future he would get more help, because it's a city problem. It's not a District 3 problem. It's a city problem. And I applaud you for the efforts that you've been doing to try to clean it up. But the city needs a way to just rid this park of the vagrant and criminal elements and to make San Jose very painful for this element to exist. In other words, they can go somewhere else. Thank you.
Tim Quigley.
Afternoon, Mr. Mayor.
If you squeeze that handle, it'll slide
Right here.
up.
There we go. Members of the committee, I'm Vice President of the St. James Park Homeowners Association and representing them here today. And we have serious health and well-being and quality of life concerns with respect to the proposed Levitt Pavilion initiative, but interpose no objection to authorizing the city manager to go forward and participate in the community-led process.
John Lubin.
I'm a resident of St. James Place that the previous speaker represents, and I have some of the same concerns, but I would like to see the process go forward for formation of the community to see the feasibility. And again, I kind of reiterate what Mr. Wall said, that this should be taken up also as part of an overall plan. It's like which comes first, the chicken or the egg. I think the committee should go ahead and be formed about use of the Levitt Pavilion project. We all have our concerns, but I think that would be the place to air them out. But again, I agree that there should be a whole citywide effort to clean up the St. James Park area, in addition to this great project that I think could help, but it needs to be done in conjunction with a lot of other items. Thank you.
Kimberly Brady.
Good afternoon. Thanks for letting me speak. First of all, I just wanted to say that the park is definitely a jewel that we need to save. And unfortunately, up until now, there has been very little that we've been able to do because city ordinances are not being enforced, and we have very little control over the park despite everything that we're trying to do to clean it up and all of the deals we're trying to make with other agencies to get things fixed. I think the Levitt Pavilion would be a really good start for this. If you look at the history, I mean, they exist to strengthen the social fabric of cities like this and parks like this. And let's look at some of their past successes. In 2007, they opened MacArthur Park in Los Angeles, California, transferring a once crime-ridden park into a vibrant music destination. In 2008, they opened one in Memphis, Tennessee, revitalizing a historic city park much like ours, only this was one where Elvis Presley sang his first concert. In 2008, they also opened in Arlington, Texas, serving as a catalyst to drive community activity in that once dormant area. And in 2008 or 2011, they opened in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, breathing new life into the nation's largest brownfield. So these successes are exactly what this park is looking for, and I believe that's why Levitt came to us and said, this is a perfect place to do this in. Collectively, the ones that are already open serve more than 500,000 people every year, and we should be lucky to be one of the 20 that they are deciding to reach out to in San Jose. I think it's going to be the only way we're going to help revitalize that park, by programming it. Thank you.
I have a card. I'm having a little trouble reading the handwriting, so I'm going to guess the first name is Janice. And you're going to have to clue me in on the last name.
Anyway, I reiterate Kimberly's statements. We haven't been able to revitalize the park on all the activities that we've tried to do over the years, and I think that this is a real opportunity to do something and really affect positive, lasting change in the park.
Jim Reber.
Speaking on behalf of the San Jose Parks Foundation, I've spent the last couple of years touring parks in other parts of the country. I've seen turnarounds that just amaze me. The Levitt Pavilion is a part of what we need to do at St. James Park. It's not the only thing that we need to do, but I think it fits in nicely. And I will say this, the thing I like about Levitt is that they come in with money, they make you get money, but they also build an infrastructure that means the community will always be involved in the programming. So it's not a foreign force coming in and putting on concerts. It's in concert with the neighborhood that we will do performances. So I fully support this, and I support the complete revitalization of St. James Park. The time is now. I think we have the energy and the people. Thank you.
Thank you. That concludes public testimony. Anything to add, Councilmember? Right. Any questions from the committee? Just a comment. We've been struggling to do things with St. James Park for a lot of years. All the time I've been involved in downtown, which dates back more than 30 years. And this looks like an opportunity. Whether or not it'll pan out remains to be seen, but I think it's something that's worth pursuing as great potential. Exactly how we'll do it, we'll have to figure out. But I think we can have some hope that we can move in a good direction. So I would be supportive of beginning the effort to try to see if we can sort through all of the issues and work it out.
Motion to approve.
That'd be a second.
Motion is to approve the referral.
And just a question,
Authorize
Mr.
the
Mayor.
city manager as per the memo.
So does this go to city council, or what are we doing?
It's a good question. Does it?
Yeah, it should.
Okay.
Have the manager authorized to do it, the council should take the action.
Okay, and I want to support the ideas of activating parks and bringing, entertainment and the arts and all that type of stuff here. But I would like, when we have this council discussion, that we actually talk about the larger issue, that the issues with St. James Park. Because even if this plan goes forward, it's going to take a lot of time, a lot of money, and in the meantime, we're still stuck with the same park. So I think that we should have the broader discussion of, and I'll be candid, I was sort of, the park's not in my district, even though it's in the center of downtown. I felt, over the years that it's been in the condition that it is, but I've sort of hesitated from jumping on it. But I think with this, it's appropriate now, because the council just nearly needs to walk a couple blocks from City Hall and see it. And so I think really we should have that larger discussion of what to do with St. James as part of this discussion. And I'm sure my colleague would probably welcome the support of the council to try to alleviate some of the pain in the area for the residents. At the same time, I'd like to have the discussion open to Cesar Chavez Park, because we have a music venue there, and we had concerts there, and now we don't for a variety of reasons. So I just want to understand, how does this work out in the downtown realm of how we offer music entertainment in public parks with parks that are not too far away? Are we, as part of the discussion, are we selecting one park over the other? Do we plan on programming all of them, including the Discovery Meadow? Do we plan on the Guadalupe River Park? We obviously have a lot of amenities and infrastructure to host these events, and I just want to understand whereas we as a council might be guiding future outdoor uses. Again, which parks, would it be all four? Would we just kind of say, no, we're really just going to do them in this park? What's going to avoid the issues that we had in the past? So I just want to, Councilmember, I don't mean to, well, I just think I would benefit from a larger discussion, because even if this all comes to fruition sometime in the future and, taking fees from developers that are meant from certain items and allocating to this, it's still going to take a lot of time, and you're not going to program this venue 365 days a year. So we're still having the same topic. So I guess that's where I'm looking for, is a larger discussion.
And Mayor, if I could just provide
Yes.
just a brief context going into that conversation. I think what's most powerful about the Levitt Pavilion partnership is less about the building and more about the fact that they require that we create an organization, and that organization has to be fully staffed, full-time employees who wake up in the morning thinking about that park. And right now, even people who live on that park prefer not to think about that park. They'd rather avoid it. And it seems to me that that is really the point of transformation, where you've got an organization and a community that's really focused on the park in a different way. And so I see this less as a solution and more as a catalyst toward a solution.
If I might add, also council members of the committee, during the recent Chamber of Commerce trip to Los Angeles, a few of the staff were able to talk to representatives of both the Levitt Foundation as well as the Friends of Levitt that run the Pasadena and MacArthur Park venues. And I would tell you that we certainly saw the impact that organization has, the network of, as Councilmember pointed out, the human infrastructure that's necessary in order to sustain activation of the venue. So certainly be happy to engage from a staff perspective in the discussion when this comes to the full council, as well as note that the connection this has to ongoing efforts that the city manager recently initiated to bring together both public safety, law enforcement, as well as on an interagency coordination basis, focus on the downtown security issues.
The only thing I would add is, if there are, as part of that discussion, are whatever the municipal code or ordinances that are not being enforced in the park, could that be part of the discussion where the police chief says, this is what you can do with the rules that are in basis today, this is what we are doing, and what's that gap? Because again, if we can alleviate issues in the short term versus waiting for something to happen someday, I think that would be the most responsible thing. And I understand that you're allocating police resources from something else to do that. But in the end, this also proposition is allocating fees for road paving and parks to go to something else. So I think it's all trade-off discussions that we should have.
Well, if I understand, what we ought to do is to put this on the council agenda, so we can have the council give the direction. And that agenda would probably be December 3rd, certainly not the 19th. We're already busy that day. December 3rd, any reason why we couldn't do that?
That would work for staff.
Okay.
And just want to understand from city manager then, so then we'll be prepared to have a broader discussion on kind of things as.
The context and how this could fit into a larger picture.
Okay.
Very good.
Thank you.
Appreciate the input.
Okay, so I don't know if I got a motion on
Yeah,
that or
we
not.
did.
I have a motion. I now have a motion. On the motion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None opposed. Okay, that's what we'll do, December 3rd. Moving on to item H2, Neighborhood Service and Education Committee request to add a update on the Measure P softball complex to December 12th meeting.
Motion to defer 1 week.
Motion is to defer 1 week. I
Second.
would put it here a week from now. Would still be plenty of time to get it on December 12th agenda. On the motion, all in favor? Opposed? None opposed. That's what we'll do. We'll take it up next week. Takes us to open forum. Mr. Wall.
I would like to know the following. My neighbor next door has 12 people, 3 families, 6 adults and 6 children, living in a 1,050 square foot house. Of the 6 adults, 4 of them work. It's my opinion that this arrangement It's not only blighted, it's a blighted property, photographs to code and to the attorney's office. You can see them, or I can produce more. But the issue I want to raise here is that here these families are acting as a commercial enterprise for the furtherance of their own financial well-being. And all I want to know is, am I afforded the same ability is to transform my house into a commercial enterprise and put 12 people in the house paying me rent? I'll obviously not live there anymore, but it's not the issue. The issue is, how many people are you allowing in a 1,050 square foot house as a commercial enterprise? And all I want to know if I'm afforded equal treatment so I can go ahead and further my own financial well-being by using the same economic model. By the way, this economic model does not benefit the city of San Jose whatsoever. But I'm looking at it, what's good for the goose is good for the gander, right? I mean, it's only fair, in my opinion, if it's permissible. Thank you.
Mr. Kellis? Ms. Kellis, you want to speak? This is the time. Hello?
Guess it's not.
Miss, do you want to, when do you want to, Estelle Kellis, you want to speak? This is it.
I know St. James Park has a lot of problems, and I know they can be resolved a little bit, not completely, but I come from Massachusetts, and in Massachusetts, in Boston, we have the Esplanade. And since I was a little girl, it was the focal point of my life is to go to the Esplanade. And if we have a big Levitt Pavilion in St. James Park, it could become like the Esplanade, and it could be a focal point for San Jose, which we don't have right now. Thank you.
Virginia Thomas?
I want to say that I was a first-time home buyer here in downtown San Jose, and I applied for that program, and I was able to get $30,000 from the city of San Jose. I refinanced, and I had to pay back the city $60,000. I'm invested in downtown. I'm disturbed about the actions that occur in that park, because I've been on a lot of these boards and had to go in and clean it up, reactivate it, and I don't mind doing any of that. I understand about funds being cut, services that aren't provided, but I think this is the wrong road to go, only in the sense that I'm a simple person. I just want a park. We've talked about gazebos, we've talked about removing the fountain, and I know that's well over $1 million. But I'd like nothing more than just go out there, have a cup of coffee, read a newspaper. And if we paid attention to the history of this park, cleaned it up, got rid of all those social issues that we have, I think neighbors will come out. They will use the park. My concern is the people in these organizations that kind of have a stronghold on what goes on in the parks, and real voices aren't heard. They start the political move immediately. I don't know why I'm so nervous. I wasn't planning to speak. But they start that political move immediately, and they have strong voices, and the rest of us just aren't heard. That's all I want to say.
That concludes the open forum, concludes our meeting. We're adjourned.